lovely.
I'm good.
Yes, I'd ask, how are you? I guess I should still ask, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm so glad that you're meeting with me.
Me too.
Okay. Well, we're just going to go through questions about your life and what you're going through at this moment.
Okay.
And so a little bit of backstory is that you are in your later 30s.
40s.
40s.
So glad she thinks I'm 38.
I'm like, you're just very youthful. And you are currently going through a divorce.
Yep.
And you have kids that range in ages from 18 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
4 kids.
4 kids. She
Yep.
has 4 kids. Okay, so.
And a dog.
And a dog. A very cute dog. We love Ziggy. So, parenting through this divorce, what has been the hardest part about parenting through your divorce?
The co-parenting scenario where we have very different views on because I was basically a single mother with a husband that traveled so much, so I just parented on my own anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And he always appreciated everything I implemented it, but now that he is trying to input all of the things that he feels, it's just a very different. We have very different ideas of parenting. How's that?
Yeah.
So it went from my job, my sole job,
Mm-hmm.
to me splitting it with somebody who we don't share like-minded things. So that's been really hard.
That seems actually really difficult.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
How do you help your kids feel secure and loved despite the changes?
One of the things I've done more intentionally is just sit down and usually I'm how's your day? And we talk and I'm still cleaning up the kitchen or doing something when they come home, but I just try to make it more how was your day? And sit down and really ask them. I've been really good at, not to toot my own horn, but I'm trying to take them on more one-on-one time and just ask them, because sometimes it's just hard with busy schedules and 4 kids, and they don't open up as much with everybody around. So just taking them one-on-one, and so whether it's just a date night or picking them up and going to lunch, and we're bringing lunch to them at school, or going on a little one-on-one trip, that's been something that I've found has really helped our relationship. And then they can open up if they're struggling about something, and they have. So then
I
it's
like
really helpful.
that. I feel that's really effective because sometimes you don't want the opinions of your other siblings.
Yes,
it's good to just...
and they'll chime in. So.
Oh, absolutely. Have you had to adjust your parenting style or approach?
No. I've honestly tried to be very true to who I am so that my kids feel that consistency. I'm a pretty I run a tight ship with phones, turning phones in and going to school. If they miss school, then they're usually grounded. If I catch them, they've slept. Or if they have straight A's, we'll pull them out of school and go ski, meaning me. So those things, I just try to be very consistent because there's so many things changing in their lives right now. Mm-hmm. And so I just try to be the exact same, where I do feel I've talked to a lot of friends and parents that they just try to make it more fun, so they let a lot of things fly that they normally are oh, but they're just having a hard time. I'm that the consistency is what's going to help them overall. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I can definitely see that. How do you take care of yourself while also being there for your kids during this time?
So I've always actually, I sound very braggadocious. I'm not good at a lot of things, but I take time out to try to go work out every day, or at least every other day. So that's huge for my mental health. Once a month, I'll usually go and get my nails done, and then a pedicure. I just because it's especially going through this past year where we've been separated and really aggressive divorce hearings and spending so much ridiculous money. It's been super taxing, and so I've really tried to double down on the self-help, or the self, just the time just to myself. So then the weekends I don't have my children, even though I still have an 18-year-old that won't leave. I really like, if I don't go out with friends, I usually like spend a lot of time with myself, and whether I'm like, sometimes I'm cleaning, sometimes I'm journaling, sometimes I'm catching up on legal work, sometimes I'm, you know, like last weekend I went to a concert. So I'm trying to like, still, those are all things I loved to do, but I am definitely like taking a little bit more time for myself because it's hard. Yeah.
I'm glad that you're taking time for yourself.
Me too.
Because that is...
And it is actually nice when you, like, I haven't had time to myself for many, many years. I've been like a single parent, and then on the weekends, when my husband would be home, he's usually like was sick or not super involved with the kids, so I would still be like, okay, we're gonna go do this. So it's actually nice every other weekend where he takes them. It's like I get to do stuff.
You actually have a break.
Yeah, so it's really nice.
I like that. What support systems or coping mechanisms have helped you the most?
So funny enough, when you go through like any sort of trauma, and any part in divorce is still traumatic, your body requires a lot of sleep. And thankfully I knew that, but it's been one of those where like I am normally a late nighter, and I get a lot of stuff done at night, or I like stay up at night, whether it's like watching a show or reading a book. But I have like loved trying to be in bed by like 10 or 10:30, which is so not my normal, because then I wake up at my usual time anyway. But just getting to bed earlier has been super helpful, and I just think my body's needing it. Like I can tell.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sleep is so important. I've been going to bed lately at like 9:30, 10.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world.
Does.
I'm like,
I know.
why have I not been doing this earlier?
I know. Secrets.
So it's great. You hate going to bed early when you're young, but when you're older, you love it.
I keep saying, I wish my mom would put me in my room and or like my kids would put me in a room and say, take a nap or read a book.
Right?
Yeah.
I'd love that.
I know.
What's one thing you've learned about yourself during this process?
Oh, I definitely am a little bit of a control freak, because I've, again, always just done it my way because I was the only one home. And so now that, like, for instance, my children were with my ex this morning, and I looked at my daughter's location, who's supposed to be, she's a sophomore in high school, and she was supposed to be at school, and she was still at her dad's and not at school, and they weren't leaving out of town until noon. And so that like frustrates me to no end, but I'm like, okay, I mean, again, she should be at school, but like, I'm a little bit of a control freak where I'm just like, no, that's not the way it's done. And, you know, I kind of like things done my way, and I really don't like sharing holidays or swapping holidays, I should say.
Oh,
yeah.
I miss them at holidays.
I know.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
I feel like it can be really annoying. How have your children reacted to the divorce?
So my 3 daughters actually were the ones that like finally like told me like enough is enough. Like, you've been through so much, and you have given him a lot of chances and spent 5 years in therapy trying to really help him get to the root of his addictions and issues. And once like they sort of saw the same thing, it just wasn't going to get anywhere. They were like my biggest instigators. But then it's fascinating that kind of what happens when like the chips start to fall, and like they've sort of switched a little bit of tunes now that they have like their dad who's trying to be in their life more and buying them things that he's never done, and like taking him places he's never taken them. And they're definitely like being like, you know,
over with money.
Yes, and like swoon, like, oh my gosh, this is so fun, and you know, dad told me I'm his favorite child, and things that are like kind of frustrating, because you know, you don't usually want to tell any kid they're your favorite child, and like no parent should have a favorite child. So then it just like, it's frustrating. It's just a lot of mind games that I notice him playing. So but I think, yeah, I mean, like they've fared it decently well, I'll say that. Yeah, they're doing good.
What questions or concerns have they expressed to you?
I think one of the biggest things is just like, a lot of financial questions, and that's probably because we now have like an 18-year-old that's graduating or high school and going off to college, and she's just like, whoa, like now that you guys are divorcing, and what am I supposed to pay for? And you know, like, because finances are really tight now that we have like 2 mortgages and 2 everything, you know, 2 of like power bills and everything. It's a little crazy. So that's been a huge thing. But then like my younger ones are more like, when do we get to see you, or when do we get to see dad? So it's just like they hate splitting time. So I think that's their biggest thing, is just like confusing, like when you swap holidays, but then it was typically my weekend, but then he still got them because it was his holiday. Like they hate that. They're just like, this is so stupid. So yeah.
I didn't even realize I can actually do that.
Oh yeah.
Like it's your weekend, but his holiday.
Yeah. So holidays trump weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
That's tough.
It sucks. Yeah.
How do you reassure them about family changes?
We say this, thankfully both of us do, like, you are so loved and you are so supported, even though we're 2 separate households now. We're both still your parents, and we both love you and will always be here for you. And so, I mean, sometimes I feel like on certain things we've co-parented very well, and other things, it's not so much the co-parenting, it's like the stupid little petty things between us that's stupid. But like co-parenting, I actually think we do a decent job because we want the best for our children. So yeah,
I'm glad that he wants the best for them.
yes.
Neither one of you want them to turn out a mess.
No.
Which is very good. What advice would you give someone going through a similar situation?
Really good question. I would just, again, kind of say be true to yourself. I think it is really easy to get caught up in like just the little petty fights and fighting over every little thing. I think it's been like sort of interesting to then realize like, okay, what battles do I really want to fight, because you're going to be paying through the nose for every battle. So then you've got to be like, okay, which ones are really important to me? And I think knowing that ahead of time, my biggest thing is try to mediate and do it without attorneys if you possibly can, because I know we both wish we could have done that, but we see things super different. So hence the 1.5 year long divorce. It's still dragging out. Yeah.
Hopefully you guys will come to some agreement.
Sure hope so.
Yep. How has this experience changed your views on relationships and family?
Oh. It's a loaded question, because like as far as like my ex-in-laws, if you will, I was very close with them, and so then when we went through this divorce, like all of a sudden they were like not supportive at all. And so that was probably my biggest thing that just hurt so much, where I'm like, you can't even acknowledge that he's had addiction since he was a teenager, and that way that like broke down our marriage. So they kind of just want to attack my character, and I'm like, hey, I've never said I'm perfect, but we're not talking about characters, we're talking about like real massive issues that have, you know, ruined people's marriages and lives, and all these things that are just a lot. So as far as like, I'm so thankful for like my support system and my family, and I'm so grateful that they supported me. But I wish that his family could see like they could still support me too, you know. Because over the weekend I was actually at my sister's, or a few days ago, and even like my brother-in-law like poked his head in the FaceTime when my little boy was on FaceTime with my ex, and he was like, hey, how's it going? And it's just still super friendly. And I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, there never once would Riley's siblings ever do that to me. And I'm like, and yet we were close. So it just kind of felt like they immediately and instantly just took sides, and I'm like, wow, it's so fascinating that we could have been so close for almost 20 years, and in like a snap of fingers you know,
like,
want to just attack my character. and the type of mother I am when that's all they've ever said, like, you are the most amazing mother. Like, that's how I was complimented the most around his family, and now I'm in a custody battle over custody and the type, and like defending the type of mother I am. So that's hard.
That's really hard. And that's so interesting that that's the thing that they're fighting you on.
Well, it's because he's trying to fight for more custody than he has right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so then because he's doing that, he has to attack my sense of like, well, like she that, you know, like kind of my mothering abilities.
Mm-hmm.
When like in his heart of hearts, like he said that from the get-go, like, you are the most incredible mother I could have asked for my children. So I just wish he'd be true to like what he really thinks instead of just fighting for like what he wants, you know.
Yeah.
Because yeah, again, it should be what's best for our children. So yeah.
What are your hopes for your future and for your kids' future?
Oh my gosh. I just hope I'm like, I actually really love my life right now. Like, I totally do. So I hope I just still find passion in like what I'm working on, and I'm going to school right now, and I'm super passionate about it. I'm like passionate about my kids. So I just want them to find their passion and love, like pursuing what they're pursuing, because it takes the grind out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course I wish them like, I want them to find like very stable marriages and partners that will complement them and won't hide secrets, will be honest and true. But also giving them that example that if life does not turn out the way you wanted it, and a lot of times through the actions of others that you have no choice over, that they can still find happiness. Like, you don't have to be the victim of somebody else's consequences, even though you are, but like, you don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for interviewing me.
You're welcome.
And I love you.
I love you.
You too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.